Welcome to Badminton Weekly with me, Jasmine Lim. We begin the show with the Sathya Group Australia Open last week, where long-standing records were broken at the Super 500 event. And Zii Jia was one of the players to rewrite history. The 26-year-old became the first Malaysian since 2008 to win the men's singles title in Sydney. Now, this was also his second Super 500 trophy of the year and a third final in 4 tournaments played. So why is Zii in such impeccable form? Jeff, though, breaks it down for us.
Yes, so for Zii Jia fans out there, it's great to see him winning another Super 500 this year. He's definitely had success at Super 500s in 2024. He reached the quarterfinal of the Indonesian Masters, he came runners-up in the Malaysian Masters, he won the Thailand Open, and now he has won the Australian Open. I think the key to his consistency to get these results comes from 2 main things though. First of all, making sure that he's taking really good care of both his body and his mind. Fatigue can be a huge factor in his performance with a string of so many tournaments in a row. So since mid-May, he's competed in 4 tournaments in 5 weeks. He was actually entered in 5 tournaments in 5 weeks, but he pulled out of the Singapore Open. So in order for him to consistently get these good results, he needs to manage his fatigue both physically and mentally. The second key to him consistently getting these finals results and winning these titles is his belief and confidence that he can win these tournaments. With how fierce the men's singles discipline is, you have to be in a winning habit and it feeds itself. So once you win, you tend to believe more, you have more confidence, and it just becomes a positive cycle basically. So it's good to see him getting into that cycle. For a player like Zii Jia, I think the belief and confidence he can win these tournaments is so important because he's had a bit of a slump in the past and his playing style really needs him to be confident to win the net, to go for his really attacking play. When he's at his most dangerous, he's not just rallying around and just waiting for his opponents to get tired. He's the most dangerous when he's dictating the play himself and using his weapons and attacking shots to outpower his opponents. So winning the Australian Open will definitely give Zii Jia more belief in himself that he's returning to that previous peak form that we've seen him play before. With the Olympics less than 6 weeks away, it's so important that he gets back into that winning habit, especially because he publicly stated that he's targeting the gold medal. So there's some extra pressure there for him as well. I still do think though he has some way to go. So while winning another Super 500 is a great achievement and really important for his confidence, I still think he needs to be better at staying focused and not having as many dips in his level throughout a single game or match. It still sometimes looks like he struggles to maintain the intensity of his play, and he can easily give a run of points away to his opponent or make some easy errors. Now, against the likes of players like Victor Axelsen, Zii Jia, Jonathan Christie, and other top 5 players, he can't afford to have these lapses in concentration that we're still seeing him have, even in the finals against Narioka in Australia. But I do think that this will get better when he gets more wins under his belt in the lead up to Paris. I'm really keen to see what he can produce at the Olympics because when the stakes are as high as that, anything can happen.
Sedyana Mapasa and Angela Yu rewrote the record books as well at Australia Open by ending the nation's 14-year wait for semi-finalists in the tournament. Despite not making it to the finals, it was a special moment for the Olympic-bound pair on home turf. Shazad Haq was in Sydney to relive the occasion.
What was really special was, firstly, having Australian representation this deep into the Australian Open. It was 2010 we last had any semi-finalists in the Australian Open, and actually when we look back at the history of it, it was 2009 when we last had women's doubles semi-finalists here at the Australian Open. Now what was even more special, by the way, was the fact that Angela Yu's mother was that last semi-finalist back in 2009. Her mum is a former fantastic doubles player, used to play for China, then moved to Australia where she had Angela Yu. So it was a lovely bit of symmetry there. And the crowd really got into it, really enjoyed it. It's a partisan crowd, and they often are cheering for someone else. There are always some big names that come down to this tournament, but this time there were 2 of their own and it was just a lovely moment for them. Unfortunately, I don't think they could quite live up to those expectations. They put everything into their semi-final, and they looked perhaps a little bit overawed by the situation. But as an occasion and what it stood for, I think it was fantastic for them and fantastic for Australian badminton.
It was also a breakthrough moment for Esther Wardoyo. The 18-year-old reached her first HSBC BWF World Tour final in Sydney. Although she fell short of winning the title, Jivan Salvanathan believes there's more to come from Wardoyo.
She's been creating all the headlines over the last couple of months. In fact, since the Uber Cup, when she took down some really big scalps. She's 18 years old. I think that's what everyone has to kind of remember, because as raw talent and potential goes, it's off the scale. I mean, her shot-making qualities, her ability to see vision and see the spaces on the court means she's outfoxing absolutely everyone. She also plays an amazing pace, right? And she never ever drops her head. Even if she's losing, she'll quite happily take it to 3 games. Aya Hori has felt it, even though she's come out on top 3 times. Supanita Ketong fell to her. Kim Garam fell to her. 18 years old. She's now going to get brought into the Indonesian singles setup, and for all we know, she's going to turn into the next Gregoria Mariska Tunjung in the next 2-3 years. But what a fantastic prospect, what a fantastic career ahead of her.
It's been a great season so far for Baek Han-na and Lee So-hee. The Koreans have won 2 Super 1000 titles and a gold medal at the Badminton Asia Championships. But the Indonesia Open win impressed above all as they beat the in-form world number 1s, Chen and Jia Yifan. Steen Pedersen explains how they did it.
Well, I think there's several factors in it. First of all, the playing conditions that suited Baek and Lee really well. There were a little bit of drift and relatively slow playing conditions, so the defense can hold up against Chen and Jia's magnificent attack. Then I also think the fact that we were on week 2 of play, so to speak, because we had the Singapore Open the week previous to Indonesia Open, and all the best players in the world are present at these 2 tournaments, so they are super strong. And that means that given Baek and Lee lost relatively early in Singapore Open to Teresa Jolly and Gayatri Pulela, they had a little bit extra time to prepare for the Indonesia Open, whilst Chen and Jia, they came from a victory in Singapore and had played a bit more matches in the recent week than the Koreans. But if we look at the playing style or the actual way the match unfolded, I think the Koreans, they played a beautiful counter-attacking style against Chen and Jia, and I think that really worked well. So their defense held up, the Chinese pair could not really penetrate, and oftentimes the Koreans, they then countered the defense and scored easy points for themselves. That was one of the key factors, in my opinion. Whenever they had the attack themselves and went on a little bit longer attacking streak, I felt that they played with patience and variation, and I think that's what Chen and Jia lacked a little bit in terms of their attack. It was very much the same, and there was a lack of variation, and that made it easier for the Koreans to defend well and eventually counter. There's only 6 weeks to the Olympic Games in Paris start, so it's very difficult to add generally new things into your game. You can be a little bit sharper on the tactics, but the most important thing in my opinion is that you're really, really sharp physically, that you don't have any injuries to deal with, and that you've been able to put in enough practice so you feel that you have a lot of touch on the court. And of course, winning Indonesia Open gives a lot of self-confidence to the Koreans, so that was super important for them, in my opinion. If I should point out one spot where I think they might need to be a little bit stronger in Paris, that would be the service situation. I thought Lee So-hee was struggling a little bit with her services, so that's something that you can increase the amount of practice you do within the last 6 weeks. But apart from that, It's about peaking at the right time. It's about getting the practice tailored just the way the players need it to reach a peak of form in Paris.
Chen, Tang and Wei are another Olympic hopeful looking to make a big impact in Paris. The mixed doubles pair are under pressure to perform after an underwhelming performance in Jakarta. However, with a few weeks left to iron out their problems, the Malaysians remain optimistic about their chances.
Three opportunities to take this Orleans title, and they've done it on the first time of asking. An incredible weekend for this Malaysian pair, Chen Zii and Wei.
It is a fantastic victory for the Malaysians. They've been excellent.
2 World Tour titles in less than a year together, Chen and To made themselves known to the badminton world as they quickly rose up the rankings, reaching a career-high world number 8. Surprisingly, their partnership was formed out of a major reshuffling, and Wei candidly recalled the moment with Tang.
我们搭档的一开始就是前年11月开始，11月就那时候本来也不是我们要搭档了，就刚好教练组的安排，还有我们的合作下，然后才在一起搭档，然后就也一开始因为奥运积分也是很靠近嘛，也就比较紧张，那个时候就没有办法，就需要一直参赛，然后来就是 up 我们的 ranking 啊，所以那时候就慢慢开始打咯，一直打上来咯，才打到现在。对，在这一方面，我觉得最大的原因是我们教练的帮助吧，在我们教练的帮助下，然后让我们进步的比较快，而且他给我们很大的信心。对。
The pair qualified for the Olympics in May, and it will be their first appearance at the Games. For Chen Tanjie, the occasion holds a special meaning, and he is thankful to his family for supporting a childhood dream.
我觉得他们一直以来都是让我平常心，但是我相信他们一定为我感到很骄傲，还有开心。毕竟奥运不是每个人参加的，而且4年一次也挺难的，所以但我跟他们说，就是奥运只是第一步，我们接下来还会继续努力攀爬到更高的阶段。我还记得第一次看奥运的时候是2008年北京奥运会，那时候确实印象深刻，那时候也下定决心要努力，就是希望有一天可以参加就是这个奥运，因为奥运跟其他的比赛确实很大的不同，所以也想自己亲身去看一下奥运到底是怎么样。
With the Olympics less than 6 weeks away, the Malaysians are doing everything they can to prepare for the big event, but prefer not to set a goal just yet for Paris.
现在还没有想那么多啊，就还是在专注的训练，把训练先做好，到时候再看怎样。对。
我觉得最重要的就是很像你讲的，就是避免受伤，尽量的保护好自己的身体。然后我们的话就是尽量在训练完以后，就是多按摩，还有多休息，吃得更好一点，让自己有时间恢复过来。
That's all the time we have on today's show. The HSBC BWF World Tour will be taking a break this week, but do check in with us next week as we look ahead to the North American leg that starts on June 25th. And in the meantime, don't forget you can always get the latest news updates from the new look BWF app, Badminton for You. And let us know your thoughts, comments, and questions on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Until then, bye-bye!